So guys, welcome back to a new TheLab tutorial from Project VFX School. Today I'd like to move forward talking about V-Ray in Houdini 18. So we're going to prepare a really nice and simple scene to play with look depth. We are going to use some assets, three assets coming from 3D model heaven, and we're going to merge this table, a rocking chair, a cheese box, and we are going to use from HDR heaven this HDR map. So just downloaded everything in FBX file format, so we can go inside import Filmbox FX and we can start playing with the stuff we have to pick. So let's start with the table. We don't need camera, lights and animation, so we can merge everything else and go to import. Okay, we have some kind of simple problems inside the scene, but it is not a big problem. So that's the model. You see it's really big, so we have the problem to scale it. So P, and let's try with a scaling about 100 times. So let's do 0, 0, 1. So the scale seems nice. So we are talking about the right scaling actually. You see this one is 5 meters, so I think we have the right scaling. So we can move forward with the other stuff we have to merge. So import Filmbox FX. Let's go in the rocking chair and import. It needs to be scaled too. So this one 0.01, and it needs to be rotated over, let's say, the x-axis, so rotate means 90. Not sure if the scaling is right, so maybe this one is 1 meter, so maybe this one is the right one and the other one needs to be scaled more, because you know the model is not done by me, so we have to double check it. So this one needs to be moved over the y-axis. We can stay there, and then let's say that the wooden, maybe we can do 0.05. Okay, this one should be a little bit better. Maybe just to have a better scene we can do something like that. Nice. So let's see if everything is going in the right way, but it seems right. So then we can pick other objects, so Filmbox FX, FBX, and then we can go in the cheese box, import. This one too needs to be scaled. You see it's really big. Let's try with 0.01. It is still really big. Still really big. Okay, something like that can be better. It needs to be tweaked because you know it has the stuff separated. So let's move everything a little bit up, and then okay, something like that. Later without a lighting, so we're going to have the lights inside, but we can go lower to something like that. Okay, that's really useful. Okay, nice. Then we go to rotate a little bit this one just to have it in a different position. Then we go to change position for this object. Then let's do some changes also there. Okay, we can go inside, and we have this one is the base. We have some teeny objects there, the pin, and then we have the lid. So this is the lid. We can move it down. Let's go in this way, and then we go to rotate this one, and maybe we can move it a little bit just to give a nice position to all meshes. Just some more changes. Okay, something like that can be enough, I think. Okay, then go back there, and the chair can be rotated. Let's scale everything to see in a better way what's going on. And then okay, so we can decide later if we like to have a different position or anything else. Okay, so we have to pick the other model, and it needs some tweaks for sure. So let's go in the camera and let's pick this one. Scaling should be wrong again. Okay, you see it's really big. So let's go to scale this one at 0.01 as the other. Not sure. The scaling this time is a little bit too little. So let's try to find a nice looking scaling. Okay. Then we get to move this one, and we can find a better position for everything else. So this one can stay there, and then in a position like this one, and maybe just a little bit more there. Nice. And then the camera, let's go a little bit up. It needs to be tweaked. Okay, here we have to change the position. By the way, it's not a problem. So we go just to change this one to something like that, and then maybe something like that. And then later we go to rotate the stuff. You see that there is a lot of objects, so we have to take care to understand which is the one we have to move. And this one is the cover. Okay, so if we go to move it over the x-axis, let's go to something like that. I'm not sure if the model is in the right position actually, but you know, let's try to use the shift key to select everything. I'm moving the other stuff out of the scene, so let's say hide, and let's go to select everything, and then we go to use the shift key, and then we can move it back. Okay. Now we can find the position for the camera. We can also rotate this one as we prefer. So maybe something like that. Okay. and maybe we can pick this one and make it a little bit more little. And then in this case we have to move back. Let's go for the ghosting. And we go to move something like that, and then we move in this way. Okay, this one should be better than the previous one, and the camera is in the right position, I think. So let's go back and save this one. So save as, we go in the right folder, and TheLab, June, and let's say PL so PL, look at that V-Ray. Okay, so here we have the assets. So let's say model. With the C key we can change the color for this tab, and then we go to create a light, and we get to use a V-Ray light. So we need a DOM light because we are going to use the HDR map, and in the V-Ray light there we go to find the texture, and the texture is this one. It's a really big high scale texture. You see that it needs a little bit of time to load it. Okay, we have it. So let's say this one is a DOM spherical. We don't need the grid, so let's remove the grid. And about the scene, let's say that we like to have a nice illumination over there, and other things we can stay with the default value. Actually, we don't need anything more for the moment. So just the subdivision is really low, so let's go to 64 to have a better quality during the rendering. And Ctrl S to save, and then we go in the, let's wait for saving. Okay, we go in the output, and it is time to create a V-Ray render, and we go to add also a V-Ray IPR. There we can stay with a CPU. We don't need nothing special at the moment. Maybe just the global illumination is set to on, and that's all. We don't need to take care about it. So let's go in the render view, and we go for the scene view render, and that's the actual render. You see the quality is nice because the HDR map is really nice and high quality, so we can take care about where we like to have it. So let's go here and let's start rotating the map so we can see if we like to have a different lighting condition. So we can just rotating the map over the y-axis, and maybe I like to have more light coming to the camera. Remember that we can also have a little bit of lighting. By the way, this one is not bad. Maybe we can try just to add a little bit more rotation. Maybe that's just a little bit less. Okay, something like that. And in the lighting, we can go to add a little bit more lighting. So 1.5 for the intensity. Okay, so you see we have more lighting inside the scene. Perfect. So Ctrl S to save. Now we need to add also a camera. We can just move this one, just for a moment, out of the view and say that this one is, let's go for a really simple preview there. Okay, and let's say that there we have a camera from this point of view, and then we go to lock, and then we can just play with the camera. And in this case I like to go there, and let's say that here we have a new group, and this group is lights and cameras. So if you like to have more cameras and more lighting set up there, you can do it. So taking care about the camera, let's scale just a little bit. We have the view, and we can take care about it there. So let's move this one to something like that. Okay, you are obviously free to do whatever else. So we don't need to do the stuff I'm doing. Actually, we can move the camera, you can create something else. You can move, for example, the chair, because in this way it's not so nice. So let's pick the chair, and let's go to rotate. And then I'm going to stop the preview because it is slowing down how we take care about the rendering. So let's go to have something like that, and then we can go back to the camera and say that we have, let's go back for 4. Let's change just a little bit of focal length. Maybe we can go for 34, and let's see, the aperture is nice. So let's say with something like that. If we go back here and we say play the rendering, it will take just a little bit to move again the data you see to the camera, because there are a lot of things there that needs to be cooked. We can also optimize the FBX inside, because there are a lot of things. By the way, okay. Okay, and let's go to lock the camera. And move just a little bit everything. Okay, so then let's go in the render, so output in the IPR. Let's see the camera, so inside the render camera, and we have the depth of field. Let's say enable. We have to decide which is the focus distance. Now it's at 2 meters. Let's go back to something. Okay, we are around the right position. Let's try 40, maybe 45, 55. So I think 45. We have this one in focus. And then we can control, if we like, the side to have the blade effects. We can create it. It's really nice. We have the amount of sides. We have the possibility to control the rotation. So for example, we can rotate it if needed. By the way, we are not taking care about a so huge depth of field. So let's go to have a lower aperture. You have to take care about the aperture to avoid to have a really huge depth of field, because if the depth of field is really huge, you are going to have a wrong scaling in the scene, you know. So I think that maybe something like that, or maybe just a little bit less, should be okay. And then I think that the lighting is okay, so we can just move forward with this one. I'll say so Control S, and it's saved. So let's start playing with the materials. You know, materials are stored inside the material, because you know, I think it's created everything. Let's go back in the output in the object, and let's pick the wooden chair. This group, render. Okay, there is no material, so we can do it from zero. So we can just create in the material. Let's create a new one, and let's start with a V-Ray material. So let's go for a V-Ray material. Okay, we should use this one, or maybe we can also decide to use the V-Ray material. Let's go for all surface, so we can decide to use one or the other one. This one, you know, it's a complete standard material, so we have the bump, we have the reflection, and we have many possibility. For the other there, we have the possibility to control the metalness, and I think we can go with this one. So let's try to say boot table, just to move fast inside the model. We say to pick the material boot table, and then it is again compiling everything to move the information between the renderer and the scene. Okay, so in the material we need to control some textures. So V-Ray, file, image file. This one is the boot table. This is, we go to connect the color channel to the diffuse. We can close everything because we don't need all the information, and we go inside the wooden table, and we have the diffuse. Now let's wait just for this one. I think we have the possibility to control some more stuff, so let's wait to save. So let's go back there, and I like to check the UV, and so we can use the UV kick shade. Let's connect. Okay, they're wrong. Okay, let's try to pick the low resolution version. I downloaded also this one, so let's go there. I have just in the download folder is the wooden. Okay, this one has less detail. So let's go for connect. It seems wrong. Okay, let's retry, because it seems that now it is loading in the right way. So let's connect to the kit shade. Okay, now it seems working. Just to be sure, let's go to load the right texture. So inside the lab, June, and let's go for the wooden table. And we go to pick the diffuse just to be sure that it is loading in the right way. Okay, it works perfectly. So this one can be removed. Maybe we can just add a subdivide. And it's not so nice. So let's go to see the wireframe. Let's go to add a little bit. Maybe we can just override a little bit the crease to something like that, and then we should have nice looking model. It needs not to be so precise, so I think it's okay. So let's go in the camera and we can try to have again a preview. Okay, it needs a little bit more love, but we go to pick again the material. Okay, we can just take care about this one. Let's see what happens if we go to have this one removed. The curve is not bad. Maybe it's too high there, so let's go try to have maybe just a little bit of border there. You know, it is not so nice. Really not so nice, but you know, the UV are wrong on the other model, so we have to take care about this one. So let's say that we go back to 2.8, that was a little bit better, and we go to complete the material. So let's go in the material there, and we need to control other textures. So let's pick this one, Control C, Control V, and we have for sure something else. So let's go to pick. We have the diffuse, we have the height, we have the metallic, we have the normal and the roughness. Let's go to use the roughness, and this one is the roughness, and we can move this one to the glossiness, but you know, let's connect this one. We have to take care about this problem here. Let's say that we have maximum reflectivity set to 1. Okay. So we have to take care about it. This one is the roughness, and we need to make it working with the glossiness. So we have many possibilities. By the way, some of them, let's go for, let's do it manually. So V-Ray color correction. So correct, or we have the V-Ray invert, for example. So we can, for example, invert the color, because it will be more similar to a glossiness. But then maybe we have some too high value. So then after the invert, we can, for example, pick the color correction and play with it. So we can say that we like to have let's say that we have and now your brightness, sorry, we can go just a little bit lower, let's say minus 0.3. Okay, it is working much better than before. Then we can have less reflectivity because this one is really high. So you see just a little bit of reflection. Then let's say that this one is okay. So we have the basic information about the material. Now we can go to save, and then we can go to for example the normal maps to create the bumping. I think we can go for something more complex, so let's go for a V-Ray material complex, and let's say that this one is the boot table 02, and we have to take care about various textures. So we have the displacement, we have everything inside this one. So let's go to copy this node, Ctrl C. Sorry, we can directly play with this one without the needs to play with the other things. So let's go for texture, and let's say that we go for the color. So we can go in the output, the object, and inside our model we say to pick the other, so the wood table 2. Okay, back in the material, and this one has the image, and we go for the diffuse. Okay, then we have the bumping, and we say that is this one, the normal, and then we have the reflection glossiness, and this one needs to be tweaked. By the way, let's go for the moment there, and then we go to play a little bit with the various parameters. Let's see for the bump. We have the bump there. Let's say that this one is a normal. Okay, now it is working better. We have the show advanced. Okay, the texture are right there. Maybe we can have the metalness texture if needed, but you know, it is not so important. By the way, let's go to see more stuff there. Metalness, let's go to use it because we have this texture. Okay, and then we can get to have reflection to 1. Everything is controlled by the texture we are using. Okay, not sure if it is going to work nicely, but we have also the 8 map, the displaced map, so we can make a test. So let's go in the texture, transmission, displacement, image file, and let's pick the 8. And inside the displacement it is normal, that's right. Let's see if we go higher. I think we can have some artifacts over the mesh because you know it is not so high quality. By the way, let's double check if everything is set to on. Okay, it seems let's double checking the geometry. We have the mount set to 1, edge length 4 pixel. Let's go a little bit lower. And back in the material. Let's go in the object properties. So there in the V-Ray, add object properties and displacement properties. Okay, now it is working. So back in the material, it is obviously too much. Let's go for a shift. So we say minus 0.025. It's the 50% of the amount. It is too much. With a low quality mesh it's not so nice, so maybe we can just say that we have no displacement, so let's say 0. I prefer to have no problem over there, and let's remove this one too. Okay, so basically we can move the camera a little bit. Do something like that. Okay. So maybe just a little tweaks to the material. Maybe no, maybe you can stay with this one, it's not a problem. Okay, let's go to play with the other objects. Let's go for the rocking chair. We have something similar, so let's go in the material and we can create a new material. In this case we don't need the map, so the bump, because it is far, so maybe we can use this one. Let's say this a wood chair, and then in the object there we say that the object has a new material. Okay, and then we can go on the material back. It needs a little bit of tweaks because you know the texture is wrong. We have to go there in the rocking chair, diffuse. We are not going to use the displacement because it is really far. I think we have problem with the UV for this one too. Not sure, but I think yes, because I see a lot of strange things. So let's go to pick the right texture also there. It's the wooden table. Let's go in the rocking chair. Oh, sorry. The roughness. And you know, to be sure about it, you should just go inside the object in the rocking chair. Let's say that we see just a smooth, and then inside it UV, kick, shade. This one seems nice. Okay, maybe it's just something strange inside the render. Okay, so back here it is compiling the geometry. We can move forward with the others. We prepared just a really simple material for this one because it is out of focus, so we don't need anything special. Let's go in this one. It is compiling the geometry. And the cheese box is high quality for sure, and we have the same texture for all meshes, so I think we have not a problem to go inside the material. And in this case maybe we need a complex material, so we can create a new complex. Ctrl C, Ctrl V. Okay, and this one is the right one, and this one is the third, and let's call it cheese box. Then we can also pick the, I'd like to double check if we have just 3 meshes. Okay, so this one has the cheese box. I have to stop the real-time preview because it's not so fast. Okay, we do the same for this one. So we say that that's the cheese box, and the same for the last one, the cheese box. Okay, nice. So now it can be back to play, and we can go in the material as soon as the information are moved to the renderer. Okay, so cheese box. Let's get into texture. The first one is the diffuse and needs to be tweaked. Is this one the right one? Then we have the bump, and bump is the cheese box normal. Then we have, let's wait for a preview just to be sure that everything is going in the right way. Okay, let's see if we have the metalness. Cheese box. Then we have the glossiness there. Cheese box. Metallic. And let's pick the displacement, and we see that if there is something we can do it with this. So height, and let's go to focus just on this area. So back in the objects, and the cheese box, this one is not needed. I'm not sure, but I think we have again a problem with the UV. So let's stop this one. Let's see if we have the UV. Okay, we have it, but I think we have some problem because everything is wrong. So let's go back. The cheese box, we try to import a new one. So we need the low resolution. I'm going to download it. So we have it. So let's go in the film box FBX, and let's choose for the cheese box 01 import. Okay, it needs to be tweaked, so let's go to copy parameter, and then right mouse button there, pass values because we have not to link anything, and then the rotation, So copy parameter and then rotation, pass value, and then we have the scaling is 0.0008, so 0.008. Okay, you see it's in the right position. Unlink, unlock, and then in the cheese box, the new cheese box, we can just pick, let's see which is the model, lead low. This one I'm not sure what it's going to be. We have also camera. It is not completely clean, I mean, so okay, it's not a problem. Let's go to move this one. We go to move down, let's say 0, and then we go to rotate. It needs to be moved just a little bit up. And back to see also the other object. Now it's inside, so we have to translate all of them. So this one can be removed, and then in this one we need to use the right material. So there we go for the cheese box. Same for this one, cheese box, and the same for the pins, cheese box. Back in the right point of view, so we go for the camera, and then we can just redo the rendering. Obviously we have less details over the surface, but we are sure that the UV are working. Okay, it's working, so we can go to have for the base low the displacement property, and for the lead low the displacement property. Then we can go back in the material and let's double check the displacement. We have the right map, 2, and then there, let's say that we have just a little bit of displacement. We have to go for a really low amount. It is still too much, so just a little bit. Okay, and then remember that we are out of focus, so it's not so visible. In the object we have to rise up the mesh we have there, I mean the lead. So let's go to move it just a little bit up, okay, maybe 1.5. Let's go for 2. .25, just to be sure that it is working nicely. Okay, you have a nice shadows there. Okay, perfect. So let's scale. I think we have a problem with the UV for the camera 2, and that's not so nice, but we have to double check. So inside the camera, okay, we have a lot of meshes, so let's say stop the rendering and let's try to understand what's going on there. Okay, this one is the body, and this one, it is empty, so it's just something to work on the camera. By the way, we need just this one, it's not a problem. So if we go, oh sorry, let's go to connect. Okay, if we go there, we have the right model. We have also a generic transform, we can check the UV kit shade, and let's see. Okay, we have the same problem we had before, so it is really bad, but I think we have always a problem with the high resolution. Not sure why, because this model is not from a personal work. So I'm going to double check this one in 3ds Max 2. So let's say import, and then we go to pick the camera. Okay, so just to be sure, I go to pick this one, that's the body. Then we can go to have a material, let's say this one, then we go to pick a texture. And then we say to see this one. Okay, we have no UV. So that's a problem. Okay, so we do the same we done before. So we got to use the low resolution. So I go to download this one with a low quality. It is downloading, done. So again, back there, import filmbox, and we go to choose the new one, just the camera, and say import. Let's say okay, we have it there. By the way, this one can be removed because we don't need it anymore. So this camera is really big. So let's say we have 003. Then we go to have the same value there. So copy, copy parameters, and then there, paste value, and then we have just a rotation of 49.4. So 49.4. Done. This one can be removed. Okay. So let's remove this one, and let's go to tweak the position for some meshes like this one. Let's remove the other, and let's say that we pick everything. So then we go to move it, and Alt key, we go to pick just this one and move, and we go for something like that. Okay, back in the table, back in the camera, and then there, back to 49.4 for the rotation. Okay, everything should be back working nicely. So the model will be lower quality, but we hope to have a nice rendering with just the normals and the other stuff we have in the shader. Okay, that is here, so it's nice to start working with it. We have just to understand which is the model we have to play with. So we have a lot of models there, and we have some materials. So we have the main lenses, and we have the lens body, the main, and the strap cover. Strap cover should be simple because I think it's this one. And then we have the lens body, maybe this one, but I'm not sure. So let's go back to see. Let's go to remove everything to be sure. So we are going to do everything step by step. Not sure if they thought to do everything manually. So let's go there. This one is the strap cover, and it's something that is right, I mean. So let's go in the material, and we need a new material. Let's copy this one, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, and this one is the camera strap. So we can assign this one, and the camera strap we can make play to the rendering. The camera strap. Let's wait for the scene. Okay, let's go to the texture. We go in the camera, strap cover diffuse. This one is the bump. So the camera strap cover normal. Then let's go for the reflection glossiness. I mean, I have to close and reopen. So here we have the glossiness, so we go for the roughness. And we stop just for a moment. And we go to save the scene, and I'm going to restart Houdini. Okay, back here, if needed we can directly change the roughness texture. We have to make it more similar to a reflection, so we'll do it maybe in a few. Let's go for the metallic. We should have it, so strap cover metallic. Now let's go to see if we have also the camera strap cover 8. Okay, we have it. But you know, there is out of focus, so we don't need to add the displacement. So just to be sure, if you like to have it, you can add, but it is not so important. So let's go to open the Affinity Photo, or you can do it using Photoshop or whatever else. So we go to change some textures to have something more similar to a glossiness or a bump. Okay, so let's go to open the texture. It will be just a test, so we have in the folder TheLab, June, asset and texture. Let's start with cheese. We have the roughness, and the roughness. Then we have the same for the cheese box. Then we have the rocking chair. It's not so visible, so maybe just the wood table. Okay. So let's start with this one. You know, usually it is similar to have an inversion for those maps. So if we go to invert this one, it will be the right color. Maybe it needs a little bit of tweaks, but it is not so important actually. So here we have inside the levels, invert, or you can use the Control high and save. We go to do the same there and save. Let's do it in the same way and save. And save. And save. And it should be not bad. Okay, so we have to take care about the other objects. So let's go back in the camera. We need a little bit of space there, so let's stop the rendering and let's go for the model there. This one is some meshes for the body. I think we can say that this one as the main, and the same for this one. Same there. So we are using the same material over there. Also there. Okay, you know, I think we are sure that everything that is inside this selection of objects will be the main material. So I'm sure also the same for this area. So just to be sure. Okay, this one is the lens body, main, and this is lens body. So I think the same for this one. This is the strap cover, so this one can have, okay, then the same for this one. Okay, and this is the lens body. This is main, that's lens body. I think this one is main lenses, so I think we have another material. This is main, and we'll double check how we have to take care about it, because it is not sure how the material are working. This is strap cover, so we can pick the right one. And this is main and main. Okay, perfect. So let's go to create the main material. Main material can be similar to the other. So camera main, and we say that the texture is the camera diffuse, and the bump is the camera normal, and the reflection glossiness is the camera roughness, metalness is the metallic one, and we go to have also the displacement, and later we'll see if it is needed. So back in the object, and we can start back to have the right material. So let's say that this one is the camera main, and that's the camera main, and the same for the other. Obviously that's the most simple way to add material. We are not taking care about it at the moment, so let's see how the preview will work with all the material visible. Then we have to play just with the lenses. So Okay. I think it's not so bad, but if I like to see the material, the reflection is really high. Okay, we are controlling this one with meterness, so I will tweak a little bit the lighting, and then we can finalize the material. So let's see, for example, having 2 for the lighting. Maybe just a little bit more, and then we can add a little bit of lights coming from the other side of the room, so it's more the daylight in this way. Let's stop the preview, and inside the scene we go to add a new light. So let's say V-ray light. Okay. And I like to move it, so let's say that this one is rotated over the y-axis by minus 90, 90, and it's or maybe let's do something different. Let's use just a panel. So V-ray rectangle lights. We get to rotate this one 90, and then we go to move it. So let's say that this light is something like that. Maybe just a little bit of rotation. Okay, back in the camera, and then we go to play with the rendering to be sure that it is going to add a nice looking quality to the render, just a fill light to have a better rendering, nothing else. Okay, so let's say that the light dome is not enabled. Let's go in the second one, and we get to use another color, something like that. And in the advanced, I like to see if we go to lit just the specularity and the reflection. Then we say that the subdivision is higher. Let's go for 64, and let's say that the intensity is higher. Let's set back this one. Something like having a lamp inside the scene on the other side. Let's go to play a little bit with the color. Let's see if we have something that is not set back the diffuse, and let's say that the diffuse is less than the specularity. Okay. Perfect. So let's go back to add also the other models inside the scene. So inside the camera, we have this one, for example, is the camera main. So this one needs to have the same material. Okay, but this was not visible, not sure why. And here we have lens body, just to be sure that you have just one material, main lenses. So let's double check the materials. So open in the camera, camera and lens, and then the strap. So let's go for the lens body with the lens texture. So we go to create a new material, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and this one is the camera lens body. We go to choose the right texture, so camera lens diffuse, bump, so camera lens normal, camera lens roughness, camera lens metallic, and if needed, camera lens displays. So we have this piece of objects. And let's go to the object. Okay, let's go for the lens body. I hope that this one is the right one. Not sure. I have to double check. By the way, to this one I put the camera main and it was not good. So let's save it back and we try to have the camera lens body. Okay. It seems the right one. Okay, it seems working. So back to this one, lens body. So we should be sure that this one has the right material. It is computing the geometry, so it needs just a little bit to have it back in the rendering. And this one too is the lens body, so we can have it. Okay, I think we have to double check the roughness and the glossiness to be sure that it's working for the lens body. In the meantime, we go for the other, so this one is visible and this one is the lenses. So this one is the red, this one is lens body, and here we have main lenses. Okay, it's another material, so we have to double check this one. I think it is something we can do with a glass material. So let's go in the material and we go to have a standard V-Ray material. Let's do it with a V-Ray material, and we can close this one and say this one is the camera lenses. Then in the object we can put the right material inside, so camera lenses as the camera lenses, and it is visible, and the same can be done for this one. let's say it's main lenses, so it's the right material. Okay, I make it visible. So back to this material, we try to do, first of all, essentially a glass material. So let's wait for the compiling. Just to be sure that it's visible, let's go for a red color. Okay, it's working, so let's go for black color. Then we have essentially a specularity, so let's go for maybe not so high, so let's go maybe something around 0.5. There is the light that is visible in the reflection, so let's go in the object, and this one will be not visible in reflection. Okay, nice. Go back in the material. So let's say maybe it's just a little bit higher to 0.5. And maybe in the refraction, let's say that there it is not locked. So let's say that it's a little bit more reflective. And then we get to have also the refraction. By the way, let's say that we have just a little bit of glossiness. Okay, we are starting to see the obviously the light, because it is glossy specularity, the one we were checking now. So let's leave it in this way for the moment. Let's go for the transparency, and we say that we have a complete transparency. Let's try with 1. Okay, and we go for a lower IRR, and then let's try to have also dispersion, just a little bit of dispersion. 50 is not bad, it can be nice. We have no glossiness, so we don't need a subdivision, higher subdivision. We have to double check the some materials, so let's go for the color strap. And inside the reflection we used a really high reflectivity, so let's go a little bit lower. Okay, you see it is nicer than before. About the IRR, let's unlock this one. Let's see with a lower IRR, just a little bit lower. The body needs to have maybe a better reflectivity, so we go to and the main and the reflection. Let's go to have a little bit less, and let's say that we are not going to use the reflection glossiness just for a moment. Okay, so it is not so high reflective. I was checking if we have something else that we can do, for example, something like an old shader. By the way, it is not so important. Let's unlock the IRR, and let's say that this is higher. Let's go for 1.9. We have no metalness, not for the obviously the level there because we have the texture that is controlling everything. And let's see if we can have something more interesting using, for example, this one. Because we have two layers for the I mean, we can try. So let's say that this one is the camera body 02, and we have to use it. We can do it just in the main object just to see how it is looking. So we say to use the camera body 02 and back to the material. Okay, and we try to do something simple. So let's say that we have a clone for this one. This is the camera body diffuse. We can connect to the diffusion. Okay, color, diffuse. And here we have to choose the right folder, and the right texture. So camera body. Okay. Then we can close this one and use a new one. Ctrl C, Ctrl V. This one is the roughness, and we go to connect to the reflection one, roughness, and we go to use this one. Okay, then we need the bumping, so let's use less, and let's copy this one, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and sorry, this one is the normal, it is active, and let's go to connect this one to the bump map, and we say to pick the normal. And let's say that we are going to use the diffuse bump map, it's okay, and this one, the bump, is the explicit normal. Okay, nice. It is going to play better than the previous one, so I think we can use this material instead of the previous one. So the next part is to have a different reflection. So reflection, we have too much reflection, let's say maybe a little bit less. Okay, nice. And we say that it's a little bit higher, so let's say 1.5. Then we have another reflection, let's say that this one is really high and it has no roughness. Okay, and we have no, let's see if we can have a lower level of bumping, or maybe we can just remove the bumping over this one. Let's remove the first one. Okay, we have no bump actually, the BRDF, let's go for GGX. And then about the bumping, let's say just for a moment 0. We have more sampling. Now we can go back here and see how the reflection are playing. So let's say that this one has just a little bit of roughness. We can remove later this light. By the way, let's go lower with the strength for this reflection. Let's say that this one is 1, and it is using the band map. Okay, maybe this one can be a little bit lower. And back to the bumping, let's say 0.5, 0.1. It's good to have it back in the tangent space, because I think the texture was created in tangent space. But let's go to see the color spaces as RGB. Let's go to linear. And it's the wrong one. I have to play with a normal. Let's go to linear. Okay, now it is working. So now it is time to play a little bit more with the material. So back in the reflection, we can go back to 1.4 there. And this 1.2 can be lower, let's say 1.45. And about the lighting object, this one can be lower, let's say maybe 1. So just a little bit of color. Okay, so the body is tweaked. I think we have to play with the material there, and I mean the camera lens, but let's go to see here if it is something related to the glossiness. Okay, it's the glossiness, so maybe we can go back to just a little bit of glossiness. So let's say let's go for image, and I go to change this one back to camera lens, so level invert, and then save. Back in Houdini, let's say to use tab, and then back to image file. I really don't care about the quality. It is not so nice, so maybe we can make a copy for this one, Ctrl V. And let's go to prepare a material, a standalone material. So y-axis and y file, and let's say that this one is the lens body 02. So we can go back to the objects, and inside the camera we have this one is the, I will change the shaders there. Okay, back to the shader. So we can use the file. So back to the array file, image file, and this is the lens body diffuse. We get to connect this one to the diffuse, and the texture will be the right one, the diffuse. Okay, and then we get to do the same with another one, so Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and this one will be the roughness. let's go to choose the roughness, and then we'll take care about the map if it needs to be changed. Okay. Okay. It is working nicely. So then another one for the normals. So the color there is the bump map. Let's go for 1, and we say to load the normal, and let's go nearest right. This one is pump type, attention space. Okay. Then I think we have a different material there, so I will double check it in a few, and then we should fix the reflection. We have this one, but we can set to off to see if it is working in a better way. Maybe we can add just a little bit. So 0.035. Okay, and I like to double check this object. This is the hot hood. Let's see if it is right to have the camera body, because I saw some preview and it was different than the preview we have actually. Maybe it's the strap. Okay, that's the right one. Perfect. I think we can go to play a little bit with the strap. Actually, as the texture, that is the reflection glossiness. Let's double check. The normal is okay, and about the texture, let's see if we have to do something. Let's see for the advanced. Okay. And just to double check for the reflection, I like to double check for this one. Maybe we should work some better material, but this one is not bad, I mean. Okay, so let's save and let's play again a little bit with the focus to be sure that we have the right focus over the scene. So output, okay, and inside V-Ray in the camera, let's see with a different focus. It is really fast, so we can do it manually there. It's not a problem. We have the focus there, so let's go a little bit forward. And now we have the focus there. Okay. Then let's see if we can have a little bit less depth of field, the better scaling of the scene. Okay, it seems a nice looking image. Maybe you can tweak a little bit the camera. By the way, let's go to save this one. just to see if it is better to have something like that, maybe. I really like just to change first of all the camera position. So we move a little bit near the camera, so we have a really nice out of focus area there. And then about the table, let's double check this one. Okay, it is good enough. So the last thing you can do is to go there and say, for example, that you like to have an higher resolution render, something like that, and then you need for sure to have an higher quality in the output and in the renderer. There you can decide, for example, in the sampler to have an higher quality. You can say that just using this one, you can decide to use the backdoor or the progressive. In this case, with the progressive, we can say that we like to have the grain to 0.05, the maximum quality. So it will continue tweaking the rendering until the quality will be the right one, reaching the grain level of 0.01. That's all. So it's a really simple test, and it is using some model with a PBR shader. So you know, it's really simple to play with something like that, and it was interesting to see how to play with it, to have a really nice rendering with V-Ray in Houdini. I'm not using the Solaris, because you know we are using V-Ray, and I like to make it useful for the older version of Houdini. So that's a really simple introduction to play with renderings in Houdini for something like that. So stay tuned for new tutorials coming really soon on TheLab and on the other channels we have on our social and YouTube, and other channels you can use for products for FX School. Bye bye.